Before today's video starts, I want to mention that according to YouTube statistics, only about 23% of all the people that watch my videos are actually subscribed. If you end up liking today's video, please consider subscribing. After all, it's free and you can always change your mind and enjoy the video. I have a Patreon now, it's down there in the description. There are quite a few tiers, go check it out. It will help me out a lot if you decide to support me. On to the video then. So hello you people, how are you all doing? So in today's video I wanted to talk about how you can set up your Linux machine for gaming. This is somewhat specific for Ubuntu because that's the distribution I am using. Ubuntu actually makes it really easy for us to set it up for gaming. Well, not really easy, but somewhat easy, so that almost anyone could do it. So one of the things that I should mention is that you should have already a fully up-to-date system, which as you can see I have. It mentions that some packages are not needed, you can ignore those. But you want to make sure you have a fully up-to-date system. As you can see, all packages are up-to-date. So run sudo apt-update and sudo apt-upgrade if you have something that needs to be updated, and you should be good to go. You then want to make sure that you reboot and then come back, and we can continue with this tutorial essentially. This isn't like a full tutorial on getting your Linux gaming environment set up, but it's something that is made actually somewhat easy with new technologies like Wine, Proton, and dxvk. First of all, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you have a fully up-to-date system, as I mentioned, and then you want to go ahead and install some packages. Now, before we continue, I want to mention the tools we'll be using. So one of the tools is we'll be using Steam, Wine, and Lutris. And you want to have Steam already installed. I'll go over Steam once we get to it, the first thing we need to get installed is Wine, along with other things that will be really necessary later on. So what you want to go ahead and do is you want to go into the description and copy these commands all the way down here where it says lutris-team-y. You want to copy these and you want to go into a terminal, paste them in, and what this will do, it will set it up so that you can install Wine. Specifically winehq-staging, which has like some experimental features which are actually really important when it comes to gaming on Linux. And once you have that, it will also install Lutris along with Steam. I already have Steam installed, so it's not going to install over itself since I already have it installed. Now bear in mind that the first time you launch Steam, it's going to download some files, around like 300 megs of files. So that's something to keep in mind. It will also take a bit of time to install everything. As you could have seen over there, it will install like 2 gigs of packages, which is actually what Wine along with Lutris and Steam needs in order to work properly. Now these commands, some of them were taken from other sources, but most of these are actually from the Wine dependencies page for the documentation from Lutris itself, which is what we'll be using. And I took the, also you wanna, so pretty much what we got here is we have, I'm just checking, we have enabled everything. I am noticing that we haven't done one thing, we're going to do that later, but pretty much what we have here is we're getting the key. The key is important so that we can actually install Wine, and the version of Wine we are using is the focal main one. Since I'm using Ubuntu 2004, so I'm using this one, which is the command that's up here. And then we are doing a update, and then we are installing Wine using the exact same command. So you can get the commands from the Wine documentation over here from Lutris. That's another thing you can do. And then there's Lutris. Now I already incorporated Lutris into this. It will install Lutris as well, which are actually these commands right here. Again, you can find this on the internet. You do not have to do some complicated detective searching in order to be able to get this set up and installed. If you're using other distributions, they have commands for you to use. They also mention all the things you need to do if you want to build it even from source over here, as you can see. But it's up to you. I usually prefer it from the package manager itself if it's available. So that's installing. So before this finishes, like again, this will install Steam and everything, and we'll have to wait for it to launch. I'm just waiting for it to finish installing Lutris and such so we can continue on the tutorial. But once this finishes, you want to go into Steam. Now I'm already logged into Steam right here. And what you want to do once you're on Steam is you want to go over here to where it says Steam up here in the left corner. You want to click this and go to Settings. So click Settings. And it will bring up this window right here. Now, what you want to do is you want to go into in-game, and I have set up my FPS counter so you can see the FPS in-game, how good the game runs. In the interface, you want to make sure that you have unticked run Steam when my computer starts. Now, if you're just a gamer and want it to start automatically, you can leave this enabled. But another thing you want to make sure that is disabled is the enable GPU accelerated rendering. The last thing you want is your GPU to be wasting its power on rendering something that you're not even going to see. Make sure to disable smooth scrolling, you do not really need that at all, and disable hardware encoding just by unticking these three down here. What this will do, it will alleviate some of the load of your system, therefore allowing a bit more of its resources for your computer to be used for gaming if you want to do that. Under library, make sure to enable low bandwidth mode, low performance mode. These two, what they will do is they will pretty much make it so that Steam serves only one purpose: to launch your games. It will not waste any more CPU power than necessary, any more GPU power than necessary, just to show you these windows over here along with all these tabs and such. Under downloads, I have unticked throttle downloads while streaming and ticked allow downloads during gameplay. Now the reason I did that is that I like to, download games while I'm playing my other games. In terms of the cloud, I left it as it is. In terms of music, just like it is. I don't really care about broadcasting, so I'm going to disable it just like that. Remote play, I don't have it enabled at all, but just in case I have it set to fast. Not sure why that changed. I leave it as it is, I didn't change anything. It's on the controller, I didn't change anything here as well. But the important thing is here in the shader pre-caching. Make sure that you have it enabled over here, and you want to also allow background processing of Vulkan shaders. Now what these are shaders for the Vulkan API, which for example Doom 2016 or Doom Eternal uses, if you're running it on Linux obviously. And when you first start up your games using the Vulkan shader processing, it will start to lag like crazy in the beginning, but after a bit of gameplay it will smooth out like the gameplay entirely, therefore also giving you a bit more of a performance boost later on, because various games pretty much can result in having better frame rates and a bit more stability during gameplay, which is a bit more important. The final thing, and this won't be, I believe, enabled by default, is you want to enable Steam Play for support titles, but also enable it for all other titles. But you might notice it only shows the, and I just removed it. It showed the Steam Linux runtime Soldier. Now this is not enough to start gaming. In some distributions you should already have something like Proton in here, which is what we will be using to game on Linux. Now if you do not have Proton in here just like I do, it's actually really easy to solve that problem. You want to go over here to the search by name. You want to type in Proton. It will come up with all the versions of Proton that are available for you. As of recording this video, the latest version is 5, I believe. It's 5? Yeah, 5. If it's not a different version, seems like 5 is the version. You want to make sure you install each and every one of these that you have available. Now it will take up a bit more space, but it is actually worth it because some games play with all the versions of Proton better than others. Some versions of Proton work better with other games, some don't. Some introduce performance stability, some introduce performance boosts, so it's really finding the right version. So I recommend that you install every single version that you have available. And once you do that, you should be able to go with gaming on your Linux machine. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to start the installation of these. Now, in your case, you might wanna, have Steam installed and check if you already have those. As you can see, I didn't have them originally, so I'm gonna have to install them manually here. Okay, let's check upon. Okay, so it's done installing everything. There we go. So I'm going to start the installation for each and every Proton version here, because it's something that I will need later on. Now some of these will go up in size. You can already see we're already up to 3 gigs in size here, even though it's a smaller package, which is fine. It shouldn't take that long to install, especially on my internet connection. I'm not saying that it's the fastest one that there is, but it's a decent one. So I'm going to install each and every version like this, so that you can, go ahead and start gaming later. Because Proton actually enables a lot of games that are like Windows only to be run on the Linux. So you want to make sure you have all the versions of Proton installed that are available for you in your Steam client. You can see that I'm already installing them. So while this is going, we can continue on with the tutorial. So all of these have been done installing. So we have Steam installed along with Lutris. Another thing we need, and that is a really neat thing for Linux, is the ability to enable Gamemode. Now Gamemode is a package that is by Feral Interactive, and it's some sort of a game booster essentially. It's like a mode for your Linux system to enter if you want to get the most performance out of it. There are multiple ways of using it, which I will cover later on once we get a game installed. So what you want to do is you want to go over here in the description and you want to copy all of these commands. So when I right click, click copy, and paste it all in. Now you want to make sure you have git installed. You can do this by running sudo apt-install git. You should have git installed by now and you should be able to run it. Now I did install git because I am using it quite a lot. There we go, it's been set up. And it says meson command not found. So if you're getting this, it already tells you which command you're missing. So what you're trying to do is you're going to do sudo apt-install meson, which is another command that you may need as I need right now. So I'm going to install meson, which is a really small package. It shouldn't take that long to install. Now again, since I'm recording, my computer is a bit slower than usual. So there we go, meson is being installed along with everything else. I'm surprised it wasn't mentioned here. I should have added it in, but let me just add it in just in case. Meson add-get, so that you guys know what. So, oh crap! I just opened VirtualBox. So I added a few more lines here. So we should now be able to just run the command. There we go. It is actually working. So that's actually really good. Now install to user. If it asks you to install to user, make sure to pick yes. If it asks you to install to user, pick yes. And there you go. So now it's installed. So that means we now have game mode. Gamemode D, there we go. So it's working. We now have Gamemode installed. So again, for you guys it will be much simpler. I'm showing the full installation process because some people are having problems with this thing. So yeah, now I'm going to stop it here for now. I'm going to come back once all of these things are installed. I'm going to install some games and go back to you guys with some testing. So I'll be back in literally a few seconds. Alright, so we are back. It just finished installing the utilities we're going to use. You can see we got all the Proton versions installed. So I'm going to clean them up here real quick. I'll go back to your library, which is a list of your games here. I'll go to Steam and Settings. Once you go to Steam Settings, you notice it doesn't show up in here. So what you need to do, at least that's what I believe, is find a game you want to play, for me, if I can find it, that is. Now, for example, Morrowind is a game I want to play. So I'm going to Properties, force a specific Steam Blade compatibility, and once you click it, you'll notice it shows up all the versions. So when I force a specific Steam Blade compatibility tool, if it doesn't show up anywhere else, then you want to go in here into this drop down. It will show up with all these versions. Now, I had good experience with Proton version 5.0-9, so I'm going to pick that. I'm going to click close. And I'm going to install Morrowind, which is a game I absolutely like. It's 1.6 gigs of space required on the disk, so that's fine. I'm going to click next. So it's a really small game. It's reserving disk space. 700 megs in size. Starting the download. So it's not the only thing we can do. We can go into Lutris actually. We do not have Lutris? I thought we installed Lutris. Did it not install Lutris? Yeah, I thought I installed Lutris, but it didn't. Interesting. So what we can do is, if we do not have Lutris installed, which is weird, we can do sudo apt-install Lutris. So I don't think we did install that, but you know. Just to stay safe, I'm just going to do it. Doesn't seem that we did, so we're going to have to install Lutris. Which is weird, because it should have worked right away, but it didn't. Alright, so we're back after having everything installed. So pretty much what we're going to do next is, after having Lutris installed and having my game installed, it actually installed a few more packages that you might want to have in your system if you're planning on gaming, like libsy2 and such. So I have it all installed now, so I can go into showing you guys what's going to happen. So I'm going to click over here. You can see that's the game I just installed, and it's going to run using Proton 5.0-9, as you can see here. So I'm just going to hit play and see if it runs. I want to click continue because it's not a verified game. It will let you know every single time you're about to launch a game that's not verified to be run using this tool. So it might end up being in full screen, so that's that. So again, it takes a little while. Okay. Again, it takes a bit longer to launch these games because it has to go through a few layers, and there we go. That's the game itself. You can click options. You can pick different up in windowed, which I will obviously. I can leave pixel shading on, don't mind that. Let's pick a bit of a higher resolution, why not? And yeah, click OK. I'm going to click play if it runs. I set it to run in Windows, so let's see if it does apply. Oh, it's on my second monitor. There we go. There we go. That's Morrowind. A Windows-only game running on the Linux. Now, it's one of the older games that are running, and they run fairly well on the Linux anyway. So, again, it's not an accomplishment if it's running, but it's still better than nothing. Yeah, it's awfully quiet. Oh, here we go, we already have a cursor. I might want to increase the volume a little. There we go. So you can load the game. I have a quick save here. That was actually from way back when I was playing it on Linux, so again, it's been a while since I played it. It's just to show you that it's actually running. There we go.
What can I do for you, friend?
That's Morrowind, running on the Linux. A Windows-only game running on the Linux, fully functional, and it's definitely incredible because literally 1 to 2 years ago, you weren't able to do stuff like this. Now you were able to, but it wasn't really.
Greet you, friend.
No, it really wasn't ideal because let's be real. Playing Windows games on the Linux was a pipe dream.
Dirt everywhere. Dirt.
It was only like a dream in somebody's eye to be able to do this. So it's running, and if I'm thinking that it was running on some low-end settings, we can actually set it up to like AI distance far and stuff, menu transparency to have almost full transparency if we need to. In terms of the video settings, we can bump up the view distance if we want to, as you can see, real-time shadows to full, just to show that it is running. There we go. You can see it's running just fine even on my super old GPU. So I had to lower it down a little in terms of the voice. I mean the sound, so you guys are actually able to hear the music. So yeah, that's actually the game in itself running. Sometimes it doesn't register or doesn't like to register like certain commands. Oh, it's E to jump, okay. But you can see it's running just fine. I'm playing this on the Linux. So that's pretty much all I wanted to show you guys. You're actually able to play games on the Linux. It doesn't take that long to actually play these games. You can see I got it up and running in like a bit. Took a little while for downloading all the applications and such. And I can show that I'm actually running Ubuntu. As you can see, I'm running Ubuntu on my system. I don't have a particularly powerful GPU, but these are pretty much all the steps you need to have. Now I'm going to try and run with Gamemode. So let me just try and do that and see if it improves. So if you want to run Gamemode, you want to go into Manage, I want to go into Properties, and you want to click here Set Launch Options, and you want to add in the command Gamemode run with that. Click OK, click Close, and let's run it with the Gamemode enabled to see if there is a performance difference. So let's load up the save and see if there is a difference in performance. Let's just see if there is. You should be able to feel the difference actually, especially in older hardware just like I have. Now for you guys there won't be a difference at all, but I can already feel the difference. It's night and day. It's like higher, definitely higher. It's much smoother actually. Now you guys won't be able to see the difference since it will be in 30 FPS or 29 FPS for all of you, but I can feel the difference, and I'm running this under Ubuntu nonetheless. So it is an ideal distribution for gaming. All it takes is just the right setup and you'll be able to play your games just like that. Now there's one more thing I forgot to mention. Just realized that while looking back at the footage, I didn't mention what the tool Lutris was, so let me just bring it up so this will be installed. Lutris is a application that you can use to install games. Lutris is actually also a website where you can find scripts that were made by other people that you can use to install your games. For example, you can install a game like, I don't know, SimCity. I guess. Yeah, you can install SimCity 2000, you can see over here, or you can install, I don't know, a game, a written game, for example, like also over here. Again, you just click install. It's going to go through the installation process. It's going to install everything for you, and you do not have to do anything. So it's something I wanted to mention real quick. I didn't realize that I didn't record this section. So those who are complaining that you cannot do any gaming, you just saw me run a Windows game, a Windows only game on the Linux. And with that, I want to thank all of you guys for joining me today. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe for more creative content like this, and I will hopefully see all of you in the next video.